It's Friday, January 27th, 2022. It's difficult. I don't want to make a tawdry record. Tawdry, Tawdry, but I'm stuck in this quandary at the moment. I'm stuck in this third dimension with some things that my most respectful American dad somewhere needs to know, who watches over things and has the more respectable, I suppose, or the more intelligent brothers out of the American whatever, um, liege, I suppose is a better word for it if we're speaking Shakespearean. Though I don't know if the grand beyond is all right with that word, since to others it's servitude. But anyhow, so I'm listening on the radio, New York airwaves, comes Mayor Adams speaking of his appointment of Keyshawn Sewell as commissioner of NYPD, saying she was the ARRON judge of the whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, is that why she's so familiar? Is she the one that was at St. John's? I don't know for sure, but I'd like someone to look into it. Of who was the one responsible for not explaining to me what this US was and where I belong, and then telling me that I'm presidential and I needed to call my father's office if I needed more specific answers than what she was able to give me, but yet there was no phone number provided. There was no direct line access. I was like cut off after I left that interview or left that meeting in like 1995, 96, preparing for senior year, having just lost the house in the Glen and being forced into the Citadel or the city of New York. And then having a problem with getting hit with something or getting anesthetized in the field, and I've already put on record whatever that was. And then when I think back on my senior year, of course I had Michael from Mary's and Chapman area that I met for breakfast every morning before I went for uniform inspection, before I went to the disgusting city school called St. John's Preparatory, with people that I didn't know and I really didn't want to be around. There was nothing tasteful or appetizing. There was no golden rule children there. And by that, Gail mentioned something this morning about she gives 3 options. Hemsworth is the only tasteful option. Um, he has a special place in my heart, whatever. The other 2 are totally distasteful. And so I'm wondering if this Keyshawn Sewell, this Aaron Judge reference that Mayor Adams makes, not being of Adams 12 in golden ratio and doppelganger look-alike, like my birthday person, I'm wondering to myself, they were putting like, and then this morning also on Tune In With Me, they mentioned Grandma's house with Lockheed Martin was closed for this something squirrely. And I'm like, then what happened to Grumman? If Lockheed Martin is closed, where's Grumman? Like, grew up right. I mean, like, where are the heroes in this American story? I'm just curious because I see a lot of criminals. I really don't hear of any heroes when it comes to my season for them having children, even though I was the one who was already on cosmological constant and they knew I was the one who's going to have this very special child by like divination area of wizards and wizardry that do exist and do practice somewhere else in Duhast. But yet I'm being held here amongst common blood, which is dangerous to begin with in their actions and their inability to comprehend, and they're easy to agitate. And then my apiary status, where I have special disorder that I need to get to the correct suitor or fashionably dressed elsewhere, which is why I am so fashionably dressed in this concourse by some form of conscript trying to whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, so is she the one who was in the homeroom? Because I remember there being a very specific someone who called out Cattaruzza. I mean, like, it was my first day in this new degraded situation with not a thing to eat anywhere I cast my eyes. And it was just like, ugh, how long is this day going to be? I mean, it's like, it's terrible. New York City is just terrible. What they've done to East Coast is terrible. Whatever this guerrilla installation is, it is, ugh. It's a sight for sore eyes, and like, I don't want to open my eyes at the moment. So anyhow, so that was 95, 96. And not a thing to eat, or like if you look at tasteful artwork and it is supposed to bring you spiritual food in, like, no, I'm in the right place at the right time amongst the right situation. My spirit has woke up every day just in the exact third dimension of, oh god, not this again. It just gets worse. It's like every day spent on this earth has just been one disgusting arrangement after another, while someone else is enjoying much higher than they should have ever climbed. So I'm wondering if taking hostages at guerrilla warfare, if that was some kind of 1995, 96, if they knew about it, especially when I went unconscious during daylight hours, not knowing, and then coming to and having this like in and out effect and not knowing what the hell was going on, but getting my dad on the phone and having to try to figure out where I was in New York City and how to get home. So, and having to drive myself, no less. Not knowing just how hostile the city is. And looking for the signs along the way of how it's like a hostile takeover is what it really like starting to look like. And it looks like they prepped for it in the 90s, and it's just been progressively and aggressively getting worse. Today also on the See the BS this morning, they're showing there's this man who got hurt really bad by like, I think it's 5 or 6, same race, same gender, same whatever. The police officers who actually beat this person. So they're all up in arms and upset about it. It's a talk on most of the news for today, which again, I'm not getting into. That's their business, that's their whatever. But mayor came out worried about New York City having some kind of like mass outbreak of rioting, which is also just so frightening. But again, I'm just thinking back to some of the domestic abuse I've suffered while all different sorts have sat in the White House doing I don't know what, with I don't know what opportunity. And my life could have been drastically different. But instead, um, it's gone horribly messy. So I'm watching Gail this morning. Speaking of like new modeling agency is what it looks like. It looks like they just hired a new modeling agency and installed it like guerrilla warfare on the broadcast. And I'm just like, I'm an old lady. Like I'm 80 for Brady, kind of like an old lady. I like things a certain tasteful way. They had on Sam Smith this morning, and I had a conversation with Lynn. I was like, see here, he's sitting with Tony. They're having tea and crumpets. I was like, it's tastefully done, the two of them. I was like, because then they go to one of his videos, and I'm like, oh, that for an old lady in daytime, that is way too much exposure and material of, I don't even want to use the words. So I made Lynn laugh, but I was so dead serious. I was like, no, now that I've seen Emma Thompson and what Lady Justice looks like, if I'm in America and there's no such thing, and just old lady, like, I am just the old fashioned lady, just daytime television. Let's like keep it to a respectable, I mean, it's bad enough so much distasteful event is going on. It's like, let's not drag this into a different type of distasteful whatever. Oh, it's so frustrating how disgusting they've broken. It's like my grandfather, his foreign intelligence to my American mother was, you have to put the brakes on Lewis. And I don't think she understood that. And in certain contexts, I'm like, that's really frightening advice, because it feels like that's what they've done at Vice. I'm just like, So here's her trying to speak of the Greek golden ratio, for which she's now trying, this new modeling agency is trying to tell me how delicious two of the, because they have golden ratios on their tea, and I'm like, it ain't my cup of tea still. Hemsworth, he gets through, but the other two, I mean, come on, I'm not buying it.
Is the most handsome men in the world. Okay, I know you look at us every morning, you go, well, there's two here. But according to the golden ratio of beauty, that ancient Greek equation measures facial features, rating those that are closest to physical perfection. So a little drum roll for the most handsome man in the world, according to science. Bridgerton's Reggae Jean Page, he matched the perfect ratio by 93.65%.
He's still not my cup of tea. Not at all my cup of tea.
He looks like, not gonna lie, he's very handsome. He also looks like he was made by AI. Looking like.
Oh no, he looks really good. Chris Hemsworth, also known as Thor, he came in a close second, rounding up the top.
Special place in my heart. He's the only one, and I'm not a super stalker, and not in a sinister way. He just has a special number and a spiritual whatever in the way that he is typecast from what I have access to.
The top three most handsome men in the world is Black Panther. Ain't mad at this either. Creed actor.
Again, not this. Not my cup of tea. Not my taste. Not my cup of tea. Not my modeling agency. I don't know who installed this level of golden ratio. I don't know why it's filling the airwaves in New York. I was watching reruns of Adam's 12 because I'm just like, oh my God, even this late in the game makes an old lady's heart. It's just, it's dreamy. It's like, oh my God, it's so, even all these years later, it's just so beautiful. It's tastefully done. And then you look at like the rookie feds, or you look at SVU, and it's like, ugh. And then they put like telenovela drama into, oh God, it's just, and they're mixing the couples. I'm like, enough. I was like, it's gone way too far. And I feel like nobody said anything in like, enough is enough. Like, this is just gross.
Michael B. Jordan. So what they do is they take the length and the width of someone's face, it's measured, and then the results are divided. And then
ratio.
Think about this on your face. Measurements are then taken from the forehead hairline to the spot between your eyes, from the spot between your eyes to the bottom of your nose, from the bottom of your nose to the bottom of the chin. And depending on those measurements, then that determines whether you have a beautiful face. But Nate, we should not lose sight that we get to sit every morning with People magazine's one of the sexiest men.
No doubt. I mean,
Tony made that issue.
And just for the record, for those at home, Tony he withdrew his name from this list. It's terrible. He didn't want to take over. You know, you got to give other people a shot. That's true. So are people going to be going on dates now with little rulers and doing the measurements? You know, like check me out. What do you think? What's going on?
I think
I told you I was fine. But I want to say something.
I told you.
I would say something in support of people. Asymmetry is also interesting and attractive. I like a face a little bit, you know.
I do not. I do not appreciate asymmetry. Like, I mean, if it's got a point and it wants to be like quick, but like fully clothed, like, and there's some reason for it, whatever. But asymmetry, not my cup of tea. It's just not. Been like that since I was a kid.
You know.
I don't like a crooked face.
Everyone likes a crooked face.
No. I don't need to have a ruler, but I don't want a crooked face.
See, like, there's some things where I feel like they've commandeered the tasteful, what I find tasteful, and they've commandeered the conversation, and then they've almost usurped the control. And I don't know who installed this level of agency. I mean, they've taken away my autonomy, even in the field, in third dimension. This is a 2-dimension, and they've taken away the 2-dimension by commandeering it and usurping control. I mean, who handed control over to them? I don't find them tasteful. I don't find them golden ratio. And I certainly don't find them, they're not my cup of tea. Let's go back to what the ancestors put in Hollywood prior to my arrival, because they got it right. I don't know, or I don't understand how the like slippery slope of got it 100% on the nose correct got to this level of the future. In like, what did you all just decide to give up? I mean, then shut the entire process down. And here's an episode they put on Thursday, 1/26/2023. It's called Child Stealer, STEALER, S2E23, just because for Adam's 12, it just works really, really well. Now, this is back in the day. This was like the original golden ratio.
A couple of winners, all right. You all through?
Yeah, and hey, it was interesting, you know, those dicks in there know what they're doing.
We appreciate your cooperation.
Oh, listen. Hey, listen, I know you guys.
Now, that's like the generation right before I arrived. That's just how beautiful they painted television with that beautiful brush, tastefully done. And now here, I gotta see if Lynn taped one of her new shows. Here's one. It says Law and Order, Organized Crime, The Infiltration Game, Season 3, Episode 11, aired Thursday, January 12th. And this is the TV producer land. The Infiltration Game.
Feels like cops to me.
Solution to your problems.
Really?
Yeah. If it wasn't for me, these two would be in town for 2 days to scout a buyer.
I've shown enough faces between the commercials and the TV shows and the whatever of how much TV has changed over a short time frame. Somebody commandeered it, somebody usurped it. I have no idea. And I haven't been asked if it's all right or not. And I haven't been given options to get away from this level of having to view it in order to even gain a slight access to windows to the world that's going on in the city. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza, without any option of getting away either.